Hey guys, so today I'm actually doing an English project and I'm going to be talking to one of my really good friends and a great YouTuber, Tian Wu, about how he felt coming to America and how English classes in elementary school all the way up through high school welcomed him or didn't welcome him, or took into account that English is his second language in the grading process and in the teaching process. So that's what we're going to be doing today, so stay tuned. Okay, so how about you introduce yourself a little bit? So what's your first name?
Tian Wu.
Alrighty, and how old are you?
I am 18 years old.
And where do you currently reside at?
Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee.
Awesome. And when did you come to America?
That was August 4th, 2008.
How was that experience for you?
I was 8 years old, but it was still like a huge dramatic life change. It was in totally the other side of the planet, different language, different people who looked nothing like me, different color hair, different culture. So I felt a little isolated because I moved to Maryville, Tennessee, which was pretty much a 95% all white school, and it was different. Kind of felt like I was out of place in a way.
Mm-hmm. So in the process of learning English, did you find that when you learned English, starting to become acclimated in your classes? Or was your language that is your first language, how did they correlate with each other?
So in the beginning of the first couple years, I took ESL, which stand for English as Second Language class. It felt like the first couple years I was literally translating my first native language, Chinese, directly into English. So the grammar, the format was not correct. It was like, I'll say cut hair instead of haircut, because that's how you say in Chinese. You say cut before hair. And the language matters because they associate a lot with the culture. Mm-hmm. And the way people say things like catch it playing, not mm-hmm. literally. So I do feel a little behind than my actual class, just because the cultural barrier, that also like the language barrier as well.
So how was the environment in your high school classes and in your high school in general? You can get into the specifics of your English class if you want to.
So I graduated ESL in 7th grade, I think, pretty sure. Yeah, 7th grade was my first year to go to a normal English class like everyone else. Passed the proficiency test. So once I got to high school, I was used to being in normal classes rather than going to the ESL process. And high school was, I think by the time I got to high school, I felt a little more included. I made friends. And I think the classes then wasn't really hard in terms of the language. It was just, I didn't, like before high school, I would spend time translating in my brain before I actually solve a problem, whether if that's math or science. But once I got to high school, I think it was so many years of experience, I don't need like a couple seconds in my brain to translate English to Chinese and then understand the problem. So it was much quicker once I got to high school.
Awesome, because it was your second language and not your first. And that could be from when you first came to America, or in high school, or now.
No, because by then, like I said, I graduated ESL by then, and it was, I hate to say this, but sometimes in terms of grades, I do get better grades than some other native speakers a lot of times, whether if that's on essays or speeches. I don't know, but...
So when you first came to America and you were learning the language, do you feel like the teachers could have graded you more on the content, like you said, cut hair instead of haircut, than the grammatical correctness of the word layout, or do you think that they were fair in that?
I think I think the ESL teachers that I had, they did a wonderful job. They really did. I think they did both the cultural reference, because I think for them they see it in their perspective, in their shoes. They see it as like not only a job to teach language, but also the cultural barrier, which they seriously taught me a lot that I didn't understand before. And like they did mention cut hair and haircut, and I think that's where I learned it. It's from ESL. So yeah, I think they did a good job.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, did you ever feel targeted because English was not your first language?
Yes. If you're not referencing high school, yes, multiple times. I think by the time I got here was in third grade. Third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, I struggled to make friends. Even though we're little kids, there's still like that cultural barrier that kids do exclude, just because like there's cultural barrier and also the language barrier. So by the time I got to sixth grade, my English was, I say, okay, to the point I can make friends and have a good conversation with them.
Did you ever feel targeted by your teachers?
No, never.
No?
I think Miracle has some really nice teachers, very understanding teachers, and I think maybe one or two did like show, you don't understand what this means, but after they learned that I wasn't like a native speaker, they would be a little nicer to me, I guess. Yeah.
Do you ever feel like the curriculum should have catered more to you, or should have been more understanding in your classes when you first came to America?
Yeah, so honestly, it's the easiest English class you can take. It doesn't matter by state or by the country. I think they definitely go light on you. We don't write essays out of the class, not out of my memory. We mostly do homework within class. I remember in third grade, Miss Hastings, my third grade teacher, would provide like 15 new vocab every week, whereas ESL kids, if you're a registered ESL kid, which I was, you get away from it. You don't have to learn that vocab every week, unlike other kids who have to take quizzes on it.
Do you think that could have like not included you? Did you feel discluded by that process?
I was happy
Yeah.
at the time because it was so new. But I think when it came to 5th and 6th grade, I kind of wanted to be on the same level as everyone else, because being an ESL kid means you have to go learn in another building. So it was in the same building that my middle school building was. I have to ride a bus, go to that building, and then another bus would take me from ESL to my middle school building, and I just want to feel included in it.
How do you think that the educational system could be improved to further help children whose second language is English?
Okay, so when I moved here once I was 8, I think if you moved here before 11, you will be usually okay. But for kids who's over 11, 12 and above, who moves to the U.S., tries to learn a new language, it's going to be tough, because by then it's just going to be tough on a native speaker who's it's going to be tough just because that's not their language and they're kind of older and kind of out of that period. So for those kids, I think teachers should be a little bit faster in terms of pacing, rather than treating both an 8-year-old non-native speaker and an 11 or 12-year-old non-native speaker the same speed. I agree the speed that they went on me back when I was 8, but I think when you're 11 or 12, it's kind of catch-up game, because that's when high school is about to come around, that's when college is about to come around. So I think ESL teachers should put a little more pressure for older kids.
Awesome. Well, alrighty. So, Tian, before you go, could you say a few words in your native language?
Sure. Okay. I'm just gonna say Thank you for watching and goodbye. My name's Tian. Is that okay?
That sounds good.
Okay. 谢谢大家。我的名字是吴天。再见。
Thank you, Tian.
No problem.
Okay, so that concludes my project, and my project was focused on the grammatical correctness and how people whose second language is English are treated coming into America's educational system. And Tian speaks very highly of the policies and the programs put in place to further help him and help the children learn English, and he feels as if he was graded correctly. So the policies put in place are working, and there can always be room for revision. Thank you.